Hi friends, Chandrasekhar here again, and now we are into the 15th of the series of lectures on yogas. We shall be looking at Ruchak Mahāpurusha Yoga. In the earlier lecture, we have tried to understand the background of the Pancha Mahāpurusha Yogas. Now we shall start in the next 5 lectures. We shall start looking at individual yogas. So we start with, in the same order as in the earlier lecture, the shloka had a particular order from Monday onwards, Tuesday, that is Mars onwards, and so we are going to look at Ruchaka Yoga. Ruchaka Yoga is formed when Mars occupies a square, Kendra as we call it. I use both the words so that those who are new to the Sanskrit terminology can also get used to it in the Sanskrit as well as the English terminology. So when he occupies a kendra, that is a square, in his Rashi or exaltation or in his own Rashi, that is when he occupies Aries, Scorpio and Capricorn, either of these in a square, then for Mars occupying these Rashis in a square, Ruchaka Yoga takes place or is said to have occurred. Now here the general assumption is it would be Mars alone, not accompanied by any planets. Sometimes because he can conjoin with a node when his strength will be less and so on. You understand that. So, but I am just repeating for the sake of reiterating the same principle. And he has to have strength because Kendra Balibhi is what is said in the earlier lecture. So he has not only to be placed in the square, not only in his own Rashi or Rashi of exaltation, but also be endowed with strength. So having understood this, we shall try to find out what could be the results according to the sages. Sage Parashara says, dīrghānano mahotsāho. He has a large face. Large could also mean a broad face. He is very enthusiastic. Mahotsāhi. svacchakāntirmahābalaḥ. Endowed of strength and with a clear complexion. Now this Kanti means complexion. It can mean also a face which exudes confidence or is powerful to look at, because we are talking about Mars in a house of exaltation. Cārubhrūr, his eyebrows are beautiful to look at. So perhaps prominent eyebrows we can call it. Nīlakeśaśca. So the hair Neel actually means blue, but here we have to understand the Ghana Neel, that is blue like the clouds which are bearing water, which is black. Or according to the country, they would be darker, of a darker shade than that of his countrymen. Because we have to always understand that whatever is being told is to be interpreted in the with reference to the times, the country and the particular person. Or darker hair as compared to his own clansmen or even his family. This is how we should always, otherwise not everybody will have black hair, and many might have the Ruchaka Yoga occurring in their chart, but be from different localities, different countries, different races. All this has to be understood. But the brows are good to look at. Charu is always nice to look at. You can even call it beautiful to look at, or proportionate also is one of the meaning of charu. So the brows, the bhru, is good to look at. I would think that it would be endowed with some prominent eyebrows, we can call it. Suruciśca, raṇapriyaḥ. He has good taste and he likes war. War can be taken in the context of fights or picking up challenges, wanting to fight with others, When, it would depend on his fifth and ninth house whether he would do it for good purpose or bad, but he loves to fight, let us put it this way. raktaśyāmo'rihantā. His color is blackish red. The tint of black comes in. Though Mars by himself is said to be raktavarna, that is red as the what we call the post office red. But here this raktaśyāma is given to the same color, that is blackish red, is the attribute of sun. And here we are looking at Ruchak Mahāpurusha Yoga, so he has to wield some authority, and when authority comes, part of sun's nature would come in, and in color it is a slightly darkish red color. Red means, don't take it in the sense of red as such. He is pretty fair with a slight darkish tint. So it would not be blackish red. Though we can translate it as blackish red, one has to understand in the proper perspective. Anybody who has, can I say, high level of hemoglobin would have that sort of face. And blood also, rather the hemoglobin part of the blood is ruled over by Mars. So we can understand why it would be there. Then he is also said to be, now here you will find, till now everything is good. And even then what I am telling you would also be good in a sense. Mantravit, knower of mantras, the incantations, the sacred incantations, he understands them. And what is negative about it? Choranāyakaḥ. He can also be leader of the thieves. Why thieves? See, thieves, if there is a gang of thieves and if you are leader of it, you are as more likely to fight with others, even sometimes kill them, because you like fighting anyway. And so please understand why this would come, because other planets in the horoscope would throw in their own influences also on the nature, the vyaktitva as we call it, or the personality of that person. So whether he would be leader of thieves or leader of an army would depend on other planets, but he would still be a leader, is certain, of whom. So to make this clear, the sage has put up the Choranāyakaḥ, leader of thieves. You can call it Chora, you can call it Chora, depending on the part of India you belong to. I would call it Choranāyakaḥ. Then he is krūro, bhartā. He takes care of his people, but he is cruel, naturally to fight with anybody and defeat your enemy and maybe even sometimes kill him. You need to be a bit cruel. manuṣyāṇāṁ. So bhartā manuṣyāṇāṁ means he takes care of people. Which people? Those belonging to his army or his group, whichever he leads, whomsoever he leads, he would take care of them. And then kṣāmā'ṅghrirdvijapūjakaḥ. Now this kṣāmā'ṅghri is translated in different forms, but the meaning is he would have some weakness of the foot or feet, if you like. You can pronounce it the way you want. Not the leg, not the knee, the feet. So feet will have some problem. There will be some weakness of the feet. Even there could be some, you can say, deformity of the feet. And then dvijapuṅgava. Dvija means the Brahmins. That means the knowledgeable people. Let us put it, because not everybody, every country will have the clear-cut divisions as Brahmins and Kshatriya, but the classes remain the same. So priestly, a class which is primarily priest and which is also teacher, who imparts knowledge, all would come in the category of dvija, the twice born, and he respects them. vīṇāvajradhanuḥpāśavṛṣacakrāṁkitaḥ. See, now these are the and where kare, that is in the hands. What would be signs in his hands would be sign of Veena, the string instrument that you find Lady Saraswati. If you have seen the photograph of Goddess Saraswati, you will find her holding a string instrument that is called Veena Vajra. The Vajra also means lightning. It means a type of weapon, but it would be more lightning like. Dhanuhu. Dhanuhu means a bow, of the bow and arrow part, the bow. Sign of bow would be there. Then Pasha. Pash is a gourd sort of thing. It's also something like a noose, you can call it, but that type was used for fighting. See, he is a fighter, so what he will have, you will understand. But the veena is already also there because it is many stringed instruments. Perhaps it refers to his ability of handling many people of different type, different nature, and still leading them. And Vrusha is obviously Vrusha you are aware of. Taurus is also called the Vrishabha Rashi or Vrusha Rashi of a bull. And Chakra. Chakra means a wheel. Now these are signs in palmistry. Those who are well versed in palmistry, especially the Indian type of palmistry, would be aware of this. I personally rarely see those signs on hand of everybody, but yeah, some of those signs can be seen. Where are they? On the palm. Kara means hand, but that means palm. Here it is palm. Then mantraviccoranāyakaḥ. He is expert in harming people by use of the sacred chants or incantations. What is called as a mantra. Abhichar means using mantras to harm somebody, whom generally the enemy, and best is if he is a bad enemy who cannot be overcome by any other means. Then in ancient times mantra abhichar was done. Abhichar is using mantras for defeating or annihilating enemy. Why it comes, we will talk about it. Perhaps why not? We can talk even now. He is mantraved, he understands the mantras, but mantras has many meanings. Mantras has also one of the meaning of mantra is advice. So if he understands the advice, he absorbs the advice, he can give advice to others. In this sense also we can look at this, and then he can plan properly, get advice of many people how to arrange his army in order to overcome the enemy is one way of understanding it. Other way, as I said, was using sacred chants to destroy the enemy. He is expert in that. Dairghe. Caiva, caiva, dairghe, caiva, śatāṁgulaḥ. He is large, his height is about 100 anguls. Anguls is, the width of the middle finger, the second, phalange. We have got there is a yava mark here, and this portion is supposed to be 1 angul, but there are different measurements of the angul. So it is not necessarily always 100 anguls. You have to understand it that he would be having a fairly good stature. śatāṁgulaḥ is supposed to be good height, though 120 anguls is supposed to be even better, and so there are many meanings to it. But I would say, being Mars, obviously the body would be compact, and so that is what comes in the next stanza. Mukhadairghya, samaṁ madhyaṁ. He has a strong face, but he has a what can I say? A narrow waist, which is an ideal combination for a person who even does regular exercise. Having a large waist or is not supposed to be good. So he is, in short, well proportioned. Tasya vijñai prakīrtitam. And he is understand that this is how his build would be. And obviously he will be famous for that. Tulyatulāsahasreṇa. Then see, the concept of a person being powerful, akin to a king or a leader of an army, fighting unit, you can call it. How he is being described? tulyatulāsahasreṇa rucako dvijapuṅgava. So, he many a times, donates large amounts to the to people. tulyatulāsahasreṇa. You can translate it in either way. That his weight is equal to 100 human beings, which I don't think is the meaning. Perhaps tulyatulāsahasreṇa has to more to do. The dvijapuṅgava is because Parashar is telling it to Maitreya, the great amongst Dvija, that is the Brahmins who used to rule in those days. So then what happened? And donations many a times were done by measuring the weight of a person in a weighing balance, not the modern one, the old one, the symbol of Rashi of Tula. The great person would sit there and grains or even the coins, whatever is the coinage highest cost, would be put on the other thing, and 1,000 times this weight were usually distributed amongst the learned, because he's already in earlier shloka you have seen he is called the dvijapuṅgava, worshipper of the wise people, those who impart knowledge. Then Bhunakti Vindhya Sandhya Sahyadri Pradesham Saptatir Sama. So generally he would live for 70 years and he rules over Vindhya and Sahyadri. Vindhya and Sahyadri are two major mountain ranges in India, in the central part of India, and this is what is being told about it, that he would be, and Mars even when Aries is the what we call Mula Trikona, the prime sign of Mars. Like a ram, he likes to fight anyway, and then that is connected with the mountains and small hillocks and so on. So perhaps that connects him, being somebody with Mars very strong, to the Vindhya and Sahyadri range of mountains. It could be any mountainous terrain you can call it, or any terrain which is supposed to be inconquerable, because these mountains are amongst the great mountains, and in earlier ages it was difficult to cross over the mountain. There is a story about Vindhya mountain also, which nobody could cross to go into the southern India, till sage Agastya crossed over and carried the knowledge downstairs in the southern part of India. Shastrena Vannina Vapi Saprayati Suralaya is the last sentence. So his death will occur because of weapon or some fire, is what is being said. Which means there is a possibility of his either suffering the accidents or getting killed because of weapons or even burn injuries. All these things, Mars is fire, and what would he do is obvious. So this is here ends the description of the results of Ruchaka Yoga. Now what we find from this is he has a martial type of body structure, and he likes fighting. He can destroy his enemy. He can understand the strategy of war or defeating his energy. In this sense, we should take it. We'll have much energy in him. Would be fair with a slightly dark shade. His body would be, he will have a slightly broader face, and his waist would be slim. So, and he might have some problem of in his feet. Some deformity or some weakness of feet would be there. This is the result given Now when we look at it, what we find is either he is in Lagna when Mars aspect will be aspecting the 8th house. So you can understand why he might die because of the weapons or fire or even firearms and something, the grenades or whatever, or some such sort of thing, or violent death is a possibility. If he goes to the 4th house, then what happens? The aspect will be on the 7th and the 11th, which is 6 from 6. So some such accidents can happen. See, we can understand. We take this further and we will understand what is being talked about. Why is that death with Shastrena and Vandina is told about? Now this you have to translate into whatever Mars is indicating. So Mars in the 7th will again aspect the Lagna, the ascendant, so the head portion where there can be some marks of injuries. It need not always be death. We have to understand that this is being talked about when he is with extreme strength. Very powerful Mars placed in square in own Rashi or own sign of exaltation. I would say even for such things, the extreme things that are described to happen, in Navamsha also he must occupy own Navamsha or exaltation Navamsha, and placed in trine or square, then only he gets the full strength. If that happens in all the Varga charts, then even stronger when the full impact of what is being told would come through. So we have to understand like this. Those who are palmists can use this to understand whether, there are people who can cast a chart from the palm print. I am not amongst them, but there are people who can use it like this. And you have to understand that he understands what is being told to him. So the advice, because mantra means also advice. So mantra with he understands the advice. He perhaps absorbs it and uses whatever is necessary to annihilate the enemy or bad element, you can call it. If the 5th and 9th are aspected by benefic planets, he would do it for good work. And he would take care of his people. That is how he will become a leader of whether thieves or whether army or whether a leader of men as such. So here we should understand this is the dīrghānano is said, his face will be large. So this is a general description which we have to understand. We are talking about Mars, who is a fighter anyway, and he gains strength by coming in the square. Square is where action lies. And knowledge and sense of duty goes to 5th and 9th. So that is why the Pancha Mahāpurusha Yogas occur in the square. And they are almost like in some astro text, the Ruchak Yoga is also given kingdom or being commander-in-chief of the army. The reason you can understand, with a strong Mars, the results would be stronger. So my dear friend, I have exceeded my self-imposed limit of 23 degrees 28 seconds is there. So I don't want to exceed 20 minutes, but I do. And you have always pardoned me, you go on pardoning me like that. If there is something which is not understood, you can always write to me, and I have a habit of responding, whether bricks or whatever comes, I do respond, unless something absolutely illogical is being asked, then I many times say that you understand, I would not be able to answer it. So I'll take your leave, and thank you for listening to me very patiently, lecture after lectures. I think we have now got 200 plus videos here, and your support gives me energy to continue with this. Thank you very much, and a very happy and wonderful good night to you.